Noah put my stolen proposal on the screen and smiled like he had built it with his own hands. Beside him, Vanessa clicked to the next slide, where my name had been removed and every piece of client data had been replaced with the fake information I had planted the night before. The room went silent when Meredith Lane, the client's chief strategy officer, leaned forward and said, "That is strange, Mr. Ellis, because the man you listed as our regional director has been dead for 8 years. Noah's smile cracked, then he looked at me, not with guilt, not with fear, with accusation. "Olivia handled the client research," he said, loud enough for every executive in the glass-walled boardroom to hear. "I trusted her. I did not defend myself immediately. I did not cry. I did not look betrayed. Even though the man speaking was my fiancé, the man whose ring was still on my finger, the man who had kissed my forehead that morning and told me he was proud of us, that was how he always described my work before he stole it." I lowered my eyes to my phone, pressed save on the voice recording I had started before the meeting, and turned my wedding ring once around my finger. Then I slipped it off beneath the table. Noah thought he had copied my project proposal. He just did not know I had let him copy the wrong one. Noah had always been good in conference rooms. He knew where to stand so the light hit his face. He knew when to pause. He knew how to look thoughtful while repeating someone else's idea. He had a calm voice, a clean suit, and the kind of smile that made older executives call him promising. For almost 3 years, I had mistaken that smile for warmth. Now I watched him use it like a weapon. The top-floor boardroom at North Star and Vail had glass walls, polished walnut tables, and a view of downtown Chicago that made every meeting feel more important than it was. On one side of the table sat our internal leadership team, Martin Reed, our department director, 2 partners from the New York office, Denise from legal, and a few senior managers who had not slept enough but still knew how to look expensive. On the other side sat representatives from Lane and Pierce Hospitality, the biggest client we had pitched all year, and at the front of the room stood my fiancé, presenting my stolen proposal. "This campaign is built around a regional loyalty reset," Noah said, clicking to the next slide. "We identified 3 underused customer clusters across the Midwest and Southeast markets, then mapped them against spending behavior and event-driven travel cycles." He sounded polished, he sounded confident, he sounded exactly like the voice notes I had recorded at 2 in the morning while building that framework alone at my kitchen table. Vanessa Reed stood beside him with a tablet pressed to her chest. She wore cream silk, red lipstick, and the expression of a woman who believed proximity to a man's theft made her look brilliant. Her name appeared on the title slide beneath Noah's, Noah Ellis and Vanessa Reed. My name was nowhere. I sat halfway down the table with my hands folded, a printed copy of the real proposal inside my leather folder, a flash drive in my purse, and my phone recording from my lap. Noah did not look at me when he spoke. He was too careful for that. He had kissed me in the elevator 20 minutes earlier and whispered, "Try not to be nervous, big day for us." Then he had stepped into the boardroom and erased me in my first life. That was where I had broken. I remembered the heat in my face, the way my fingers trembled, the shame of watching my work appear under his name while everyone nodded. I remembered trying to interrupt, my voice cracking, Martin Reed cutting me off, Noah looking wounded, Vanessa looking scared, and the entire room deciding I was the problem. That version of me had still believed truth was obvious if you spoke it loudly enough. She had not understood that people who stole from you usually prepared the room before they stole. This time, I said nothing. Noah clicked again. A map appeared on the screen. Blue dots, gold lines, market labels, client names, all fake. Every number, every contact, every internal reference, every revenue projection, every regional director, every private customer cluster. Fake, not random fake. Careful fake, the kind that would look real to a thief who did not understand the client, the kind that would expose itself instantly to anyone who did. Meredith Lane, Lane and Pierce's chief strategy officer, had not spoken much since the meeting began. She was in her 50s, silver-haired, sharp-eyed, and known for asking questions that made junior associates forget their own names. She had been polite while Noah warmed up. Now she leaned forward. "Mr. Ellis," she said, "can you go back 1 slide?" Noah smiled. "Of course." He clicked back. Meredith pointed at the screen with the end of her pen. "Who is Thomas Bell?" Noah glanced at Vanessa. Vanessa blinked. Noah recovered fast. "He is listed here as your regional director for the Gulf properties." Meredith did not move. "That is strange." The air changed. Noah's smile held, but only at the edges. "Strange how?" he asked. Meredith folded her hands on the table. "Thomas Bell retired from our company 13 years ago. He died 8 years ago. His role has been held by 3 different people since then. A tiny sound came from someone near the end of the table. A chair shifted. Vanessa's eyes flicked to the screen, then to Noah, then to me. I looked back at her without expression. Noah cleared his throat. There may be an outdated reference in the appendix. We can correct that. Meredith did not smile. It is not in the appendix, it is in your primary model. She turned another page in the printed handout before her. And this property code you used for Savannah Harbor, that location was sold in 2021. Lane and Pierce no longer owns it. The New York partner, Andrew Vail, slowly sat back. Martin Reed's face tightened. Noah's hand flexed around the clicker. Again, he said, that appears to be a research input issue. Olivia handled a large part of the client research. There it was, the blade not even hidden. He turned toward me, his face arranged into reluctant disappointment. I trusted her with the dataset. My pulse stayed steady. That was new in my first life. My heart had hammered so violently that I could barely hear anything else. In this life, I heard the hum of the projector, the soft scratch of Meredith's pen, Vanessa's shallow inhale. I looked at Noah and saw him clearly. Not the man who had proposed to me in Lincoln Park with shaking hands and wet eyes. Not the man who had held me after my father's funeral and told me I would never be alone. Not the man I had paid rent for when his bonus was delayed, edited presentations for when he was overwhelmed, defended when co-workers whispered that his charm was bigger than his talent. I saw a man making a calculation. If he could attach the fake data to me fast enough, the stolen proposal would become my mistake instead of his crime. Martin looked at me. Olivia. Every person in the room turned. Public humiliation had a sound. It was not laughter. It was silence sharpened by expectation. I opened my folder slowly. Noah is right about one thing, I said. His shoulders eased just slightly. I let him have that second. I did handle the original research, I continued. For the proposal I created. The room became very still. Noah's eyes narrowed. Olivia, I did not look away from Martin. I did not create the version currently on that screen. Vanessa gave a soft laugh. That is convenient. It is, I said, very. Her laugh died. Noah's voice lowered. You need to be careful. I turned my head toward him. I have been careful. I placed the printed real proposal on the table. But I did not slide it forward yet. Not too early. Not before the room had understood the problem. Meredith's gaze moved from the proposal to my face. I saw recognition there, not trust yet, but attention. That was enough. Martin rubbed his temple. Let us slow down. Olivia, are you saying this presentation was not your work? I am saying the strategic framework was mine. The client data in that deck is not the data from my final proposal. Noah laughed once, too sharp. That makes no sense. Why would there be another version? I looked at him. Because I died once for trusting you. The thought came and went like a cold hand across the back of my neck. I remembered the other timeline in flashes so vivid they still sometimes woke me before dawn. Noah standing at this same screen with the real proposal, the room applauding, Vanessa hugging him a little too long, Martin announcing Noah would lead the Lane and Pierce account, me asking him in the stairwell why my name was removed, him sighing like I was embarrassing him. Liv, don't make this ugly. We are getting married. My win is your win. Then the leak. Client data found in a competitor's briefing. A file path traced to my laptop because Noah had used my credentials. HR meetings, legal notices, my badge deactivated, Noah refusing to answer my calls, Vanessa posting a photo of champagne in a hotel bar the night I packed my office into a cardboard box, my mother asking if maybe I had been careless, my industry contacts going quiet, Noah ending our engagement through an email that began, I will always care about you, and later, rain on the windshield, a truck horn, white headlights, my own voice saying, I did not do it. To no one. Then waking up 5 days before this meeting with my cheek pressed to the same kitchen table, my laptop open, the Lane and Pierce proposal glowing on the screen. At first, I thought grief had broken my mind, then my phone buzzed. Noah, don't stay up too late, babe, we need you fresh for our big week. Our big week. I had stared at those words until my hands stopped shaking. Then I made coffee. Then I rebuilt my life in silence. I created 2 proposals, the real one, complete and clean, with accurate client data, source notes, version history, and a time-stamped backup sent to my personal attorney, and the decoy. Same structure, same formatting, same strategic language, but every protected client detail replaced with false information that no honest presenter would ever use. Because no honest presenter would ever see that file unless he broke into my folder and copied it, I named it proposal_final_client ready because thieves loved confidence. Noah had taken it 12 hours later. Now he stood in front of the room, wearing the navy tie I had bought him, calling my caution suspicious. Denise from legal spoke for the first time. Olivia, do you have proof of separate file versions? Yes, Noah snapped. This is absurd. Denise looked at him. Please let her answer. His jaw tightened. I opened my folder and removed one page, not the whole proposal, just the title sheet and the version history summary. I have the finalized proposal saved under a restricted folder created Sunday at 9:42 p.m. I also have the exported PDF sent to my personal email and to counsel at 10:17 p.m. The document currently on the screen is from a file placed in a shared working folder after I noticed unauthorized access attempts on my project directory. Martin's eyes sharpened. Unauthorized access attempts. Vanessa shook her head. That is a serious accusation. I looked at her tablet. Yes, it is. Noah took one step away from the screen. Olivia has been under a lot of stress. Wedding planning, client pressure, late nights. I think we should avoid turning this into a performance. A performance, he knew the word would land. Women in conference rooms were always one emotion away from being dismissed as theatrical. I folded my hands on the table. I agree. Noah blinked. I continued. So I would like IT to pull the access logs. That was when his face changed, not fully. Noah was too trained for that. But I saw it because I knew him. The skin around his mouth tightened. His eyes moved to Martin, then Vanessa, then the laptop connected to the projector. Grace Palmer, our IT security lead, was sitting near the wall because major client presentations required technical support. She had dark hair cut blunt at her chin and the kind of calm that came from knowing every password mistake people lied about. She looked at Denise. Denise nodded. Grace, can you preserve all access logs related to the Lane and Pierce proposal files? Grace closed her laptop halfway. Yes, I added, including downloads to external devices. Noah turned on me. You set this up. I let the words hang. That was the first true thing he had said all morning, but not in the way he meant. Meredith stood. I think Lane and Pierce will pause this presentation until North Star and Vale understands what happened here. Martin rose quickly. Meredith, I apologize. We will get to the bottom of this immediately. I hope so, she said, because right now, I have one presenter using dead employees and sold properties in a strategy model, another employee claiming the model was stolen, and a room full of people who seem more worried about embarrassment than data integrity. No one answered. Meredith picked up her folder. At the door, she stopped and looked at me. MS, Hart, yes. If there is a real proposal, I suggest you keep it secure. I have, for the first time that morning. Her mouth softened slightly. Good. Then she walked out with her team. The door closed behind them for 3 seconds. Nobody spoke. Then Martin exploded. What the hell was that? Noah pointed at me. Ask her. I almost admired how fast he moved. She admitted she created another version, he said. She planted bad data into a client file. That is sabotage. Vanessa nodded quickly. Noah and I prepared based on the file available to us. We had no idea there were false details. Available to you? I asked. Her lips parted. Noah cut in. Shared folder. It was not shared with you. His voice hardened. We are on the same team. Not in the permissions. Grace opened her laptop again. I can verify that. Martin held up one hand. No one leaves. No one touches another device. Grace, lock the project folder. Denise, we need legal involved now. Denise was already typing. Noah's phone buzzed on the table. He reached for it. Do not. Denise said. He froze. She looked at him over her glasses. No devices until we preserve records. He laughed in disbelief. You cannot be serious. I am very serious. Vanessa's face had gone pale under her makeup. I watched them both, and for one brief second, something ugly and human moved through me. Satisfaction, not joy, not peace, just the heavy click of a lock turning after years of leaving the door open. Noah leaned close enough that only I could hear him. What did you do? I looked at the ring in my palm, a round diamond, platinum band, engraved inside with Always Us. I had loved that engraving once. Now it looked like a threat. I placed the ring on the table between us. Noah stared at it. What are you doing? He whispered, correcting a mistake. His eyes flashed. Not here. That is the difference between us, I said quietly. You always choose where I am allowed to be hurt. Before he could answer, Grace's voice cut through the room. I have preliminary access records. Everyone turned. Grace looked at Martin first, then Denise. The file used for this presentation was downloaded from MS Hart's working directory at 11:58 p.m. last night, Noah said. That proves nothing. We were working late. Grace continued. The download was initiated from Mr. Ellis's company login. Vanessa gripped her tablet with both hands. Noah's face emptied. Grace looked at him and copied to an external USB device. The silence that followed was not sharp anymore. It was deep, the kind of silence that opens under a person when the floor disappears, Martin said. Noah looked at me, and for the first time since I had known him, he had no script ready. I picked up my folder, slipped my ring into the inside pocket, and stood. I will be available for the investigation, I said, but I will not sit in this room while he invents another story. Noah reached for my wrist. I stepped back before he touched me. It was a small movement, but it felt like the first breath I had taken in years. HR put us in separate rooms. That was how I knew the company understood the danger. If they had still believed this was a messy lover's quarrel, they would have asked us to talk it out in a conference room with stale coffee and a mediator who used phrases like communication gap. But legal had arrived within 20 minutes. Grace had taken custody of the laptops. Denise had told everyone involved not to delete, alter, forward, or discuss any Lane and Pierce files until further notice. Noah did not like being treated like a suspect. I heard him through the wall once. This is ridiculous. I am the one who stood up there. Exactly. I thought you stood up there. You put your name on it. You claimed it. Now keep it. I sat in the smaller HR room with a paper cup of water, my purse on the chair beside me, and my phone face down on the table. I had already sent 3 things to Mara, my attorney: the meeting recording, a photo of the title slide with my name missing, and a message that said, "It started." She replied within 30 seconds, "Do not engage emotionally. Preserve everything. I am available." Mara Bennett was not a dramatic person. She had handled my father's estate after he died, and later, when Noah suggested that using a lawyer for our prenup felt cold, Mara had looked at me and said, "Cold is not the worst thing a woman can be. Unprotected is worse." In my first life, I had ignored that sentence. In this one, I had written it on a sticky note and placed it above my desk. The HR door opened. Denise came in with Grace and a woman named Paula from Employee Relations. Denise carried a legal pad. Grace carried nothing, which somehow made her look more dangerous. "Olivia," Denise said, "we are going to ask you to walk us through the file history." I nodded. Of course. Paula gave me a sympathetic smile that did not reach her eyes. "Before we begin, are you comfortable continuing, given your personal relationship with Mr. Ellis? We understand this may be emotionally difficult." Personal relationship. I looked at my bare finger. "I am comfortable." Denise sat across from me. "Start with when you noticed something wrong." "Sunday night," I said. I was finalizing the Lane and Pierce strategy model. Around 9 p.m., I saw that the working folder had a temporary access conflict. It resolved quickly, but it made me uncomfortable because I had not granted Noah or Vanessa access to the client research files. Grace nodded slightly. "That matches the first flag." Paula wrote something down. "I created a clean final version in my restricted folder." I continued. Then I exported it to PDF and emailed a copy to myself and my attorney for timestamp purposes. Denise's pen paused. "Why your attorney?" "Because this was not the first time my work had appeared under someone else's name." The room quieted. Paula looked up. "Are you alleging prior misconduct?" "I am saying I had concerns." "Against Noah?" I breathed once. "Against Noah and Vanessa?" Denise's expression did not change. "Do you have documentation of those concerns?" "Yes. In my first life, I had complained too late, after the proposal had been stolen, after the client data had leaked, after Noah and Vanessa had spent days making me look unstable. By the time I gathered examples of earlier stolen work, everyone treated them as the desperate scraps of a woman trying to save herself. This time, I had prepared before the trap closed. I removed a folder from my purse and placed it on the table. Inside were printed emails, version histories, screenshots, and project comparisons. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just dates, authors, edits, file paths, and names. I did not bring this to start a war, I said. I brought it because I knew if I spoke without records, people would call it personal. No one contradicted me. Grace took the first page. "This one is the Mayfair pitch." "Yes." I drafted the positioning matrix. The final presented version was submitted by Noah with minimal changes. My version history predates his by 4 days. Denise took another. And this, Vanessa used my competitive audit in the Meridian renewal deck. She changed the colors, removed my notes, and presented it in a leadership meeting I was not invited to. Paula's mouth tightened. I knew that look. It was the look people got when a story became pattern instead of incident. Denise leaned back. "Why did you not report these at the time?" "Because he was my fiancé. Because I thought being loved meant being generous. Because every time I felt uneasy." Noah kissed my temple and said, "Don't keep score with me, Liv. We are building the same future." Because I had been raised by a mother who believed a good woman protected the men she loved from embarrassment. Because I had confused silence with loyalty, I said, I made a mistake. That answer seemed to land harder than any speech would have. Grace glanced at Denise. I can confirm at least part of this through system history. Denise nodded. Let us focus on the Lane and Pierce files for now. You mentioned a decoy version. Yes. Why create it? Because if someone accessed my folder without permission, I wanted to know. Paula frowned. You replaced all client data with fake information. In the decoy copy. Yes, that could have created risk. No protected client data was exposed in that file. I said, the risk came from someone copying and presenting a file they were not authorized to access and did not understand. Grace's mouth twitched. Denise did not smile, but her eyes sharpened in approval. Did you ever send that decoy file to Noah or Vanessa? No. Did you tell them to use it? No. Did you place it in any approved presentation folder? No. It remained in my working directory. They had no business accessing it. Grace opened her laptop and turned it slightly toward Denise. The permissions support that. The door opened again. Martin stepped in without knocking. He looked older than he had 2 hours ago. Denise, he said, we have a problem. Denise's expression cooled. Only one. Martin ignored that. Noah claims Olivia gave him verbal permission to use the file. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it was so predictable that it felt rehearsed by fate. Paula looked at me. Did you? No. Martin shifted. He had always liked Noah, not just liked him, invested in him. Noah was clean-cut, charming, safe. He made directors feel smart for promoting him. Men like Martin loved men like Noah because they reflected the version of themselves they wanted to remember. What exactly did Noah say? Denise asked. Martin's jaw worked. He says Olivia was overwhelmed and asked him to take over the final presentation. He says she sent him to her folder. Can he produce that message? He says it was a conversation at home. Of course, at home, where there were no witnesses, at home, where he could turn intimacy into evidence. I reached into my purse and removed my phone. Paula held up a hand. We cannot have you accessing. I know. I am not opening company files. I placed the phone on the table, but I have a text message from Noah last night at 11:46 p.m. Denise looked at Grace. Grace nodded. With permission, I unlocked the phone and opened the message thread. Noah, heading to bed, don't overwork. Babe, you're scary when you go into genius mode. I'm almost done. Please do not touch the Lane and Pierce folder. I need the final version clean for tomorrow. Noah, relax. I wouldn't mess with your precious system. I mean it. Do not access it. Noah, yes. The room went still. Martin's face darkened. Grace said, the download from his login happened 12 minutes after that exchange. Denise wrote one line on her legal pad. I did not need to see it to know what it meant. Intent. Noah had not stumbled into my work. He had been warned and he had entered anyway. An hour later, they brought us into a larger conference room. Noah sat on the opposite side of the table, flanked by Vanessa and Martin. He looked furious now, but beneath the anger I saw fear beginning to pulse. Vanessa had stopped trying to look innocent. Her lipstick had faded at the center of her mouth from biting her lips. Denise sat at the head of the table. Grace connected her laptop to the screen, but the projector stayed blank. This is not a disciplinary hearing yet, Denise said. This is a fact-finding meeting. You are all instructed again not to delete or alter any records. Noah leaned forward. Good, then let us discuss facts. Olivia created false client data. She admitted that. I folded my hands. Denise said. She admitted creating a decoy file in a restricted working directory after warning you not to access that directory. Noah's eyes cut toward me. Because she is paranoid, Vanessa added softly. She has been jealous for months. There it was again, the old net, not facts. Feelings make me jealous, unstable, emotional, possessive, make the theft a side effect of my supposed insecurity. Paula looked at Vanessa. Jealous of what? Vanessa hesitated. Noah answered for her. Of our working relationship. I looked at him. Is that what we are calling it? His face flushed. Do not do this. Do what? Turn this into something ugly. I almost smiled. You keep saying that when people can hear us. Denise's gaze sharpened. Is there a personal relationship between Mr. Ellis and MS. Reed that has not been disclosed? No, Noah said at the same time. Vanessa said, not exactly. Silence. Martin closed his eyes. I looked down at my hands. In my first life, that moment had taken months to arrive. Noah had denied Vanessa until after he ended our engagement. Then he posted a picture from a vineyard trip with her 3 weeks later, and everyone pretended it was tasteful because they had waited long enough to make it socially acceptable. Now the lie had cracked before lunch. Denise looked at Vanessa. Not exactly. Vanessa swallowed. We are close. We work late. Noah has been supportive. Olivia misunderstood. Did you access Olivia's folder? Denise asked. No. Grace clicked once. A log appeared on the screen, not full details, just enough. User, read action, opened file preview, path, Lane Pierce. Working proposal _final client ready, PPTX, time, 12:14 a.m. Vanessa's face went white. Grace said, you did not download it, but you opened the preview after Mr. Ellis copied it to a temporary shared location. Noah turned toward Vanessa. You opened it. The betrayal in his voice was almost funny. Vanessa stared at him. You sent it to me. Martin slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Nobody spoke. Denise turned off the screen, pending a full review. Noah and Vanessa, you are both removed from the Lane and Pierce account. Your system access will be limited. You are not to contact the client. Noah stood so fast his chair scraped backward. You cannot remove me from my own account. Andrew Vale, who had been silent in the corner, finally spoke. It does not appear to be your account. Noah looked as if he had been slapped. My phone buzzed after the meeting. Noah, we need to talk. Alone. Then another. Noah, you are making a mistake. Then another. Noah, do not let these people turn us against each other. I read each message once, then I screenshot them and sent them to Mara by 4 p.m. I had collected my laptop under supervision, signed a statement, and left the office through the side entrance because I did not want to walk past the rows of desks where whispers had already begun breeding. My apartment was quiet when I opened the door. Our apartment, according to Noah, mine, according to the lease, the deposit, the monthly payments, and reality. Noah's shoes were by the door, his gym bag was on the bench, a framed engagement photo sat on the console table. Me in a blue dress, Noah behind me with his arms around my waist, both of us smiling at a future only one of us believed in. I took the photo down, then I opened my laptop first. I cancelled the transfer scheduled from my checking account to the joint wedding account, then I called the venue and paused all payments. Then I removed Noah from the shared credit card where he had charged suits, client dinners, and a watch he claimed would be good for PartnerTrack optics. Then I changed the Wi-Fi password. Then I emailed the landlord with a copy of the lease and asked about changing the locks if an occupant not listed on the lease refused to leave. I did not cry until I opened the drawer where we kept wedding invitations, cream paper, gold letters, our names braided together in calligraphy. Olivia Hart and Noah Ellis request the honor of your presence. Honor, that word undid me for 2 minutes, only 2. I let the tears come, hot and humiliating, because my grief was real even if his love had not been. I had loved the version of him he performed for me. I had built a life around that performance. I had pictured children with his eyes. I had defended him to friends who noticed too much. I had given him the benefit of every doubt until I was living inside the doubt and calling it commitment. Then my phone rang. Noah, I let it go to voicemail. He called again, then his mother called, then Vanessa sent a message from an unknown number. You are destroying him because you cannot handle being. Second, I stared at that sentence. Second, as if love was a podium and work was a crown. I typed nothing back. I sent the screenshot to Mara at 7:30. Noah came home. I heard his key in the lock. It turned once, stopped, the chain was on. He knocked hard. Olivia, I stood on the other side of the door. Your bags are packed. A pause. What? Your clothes are in the hallway closet. Your documents are in the black box. Your laptop charger is in the front pocket of the suitcase. He lowered his voice. Open the door. No, Liv, this is insane. Do not call me that. He exhaled sharply. Fine, Olivia, open the door so we can talk like adults. I spoke like an adult in the office. You called me paranoid because you blindsided me. I almost opened the door just to see his face when he heard himself. Instead, I stayed still. I blindsided you by not letting you steal from me successfully. Silence, then, quieter. I made a mistake. There it was, the first downgrade. A theft became a mistake, a betrayal became stress, a pattern became pressure. I leaned my forehead against the door, not because I wanted him close, but because I wanted to remember the exact feel of wood between us. Noah, I am going to say this once. You are not on the lease. You will arrange a time with Mara to collect the rest of your belongings. You will not come here without notice again. You called a lawyer on me. I called a lawyer for me. His voice changed. The softness left it. Be careful, Olivia. I closed my eyes. In my first life, that tone had scared me. This time, it clarified him. Goodbye, Noah. You think you have evidence, he said through the door. I have evidence too. My hand tightened around the deadbolt. What evidence? He laughed once. You really think you were the only one keeping records? The hallway fell quiet, then his footsteps receded. I stood there until the elevator doors opened and closed. Only then did I check my phone. A new email sat in my inbox from an anonymous address. Subject: Last chance attached were 3 screenshots, all of them showed messages from me, all of them were fake. In the first, I appeared to tell Noah, use whatever is in my folder. In the second, I appeared to tell Vanessa, if this goes wrong, Noah takes the fall. In the third, I appeared to write, I replaced the data so they would embarrass themselves. My stomach went cold, not because the screenshots were convincing, because I recognized the method in my first life. Those screenshots had surfaced after the client leak. I had insisted they were fabricated. Nobody cared. The metadata was gone. The images had circulated faster than facts this time. Noah had shown them too early. I forwarded the email to Mara, then I sent it to Denise. Then I opened the small notebook on my desk and wrote one line beneath the others. He thinks reputation is built from noise. Then, under it, I wrote, mine will be built from records. The next morning, my mother called before sunrise. I knew before answering that Noah had reached her. He was good at finding the softest door into a locked house. Olivia, she said, voice already tight, what is going on? I sat at my kitchen table with black coffee, 2 printed legal notices, and the fake screenshots Noah had sent in a folder marked retaliation attempt 1. What did he tell you? She inhaled. He said there was a misunderstanding at work. He said you humiliated him in front of an important client and then threw him out. Did he mention stealing my proposal? A pause. He said you are using that word because you are hurt. I stared out the window at the morning traffic sliding along the wet street below. In my first life, this was one of the things that broke me most. Not Noah leaving, not Vanessa smiling, not even losing my job. It was the speed with which people who loved me accepted a version of me that made my pain inconvenient. My mother was not cruel, that almost made it worse. She was tired, practical, shaped by a marriage to my father that had taught her peace was something women purchased with silence. To her, a broken engagement was a public wound, a scandal at work was dangerous. A woman alone near 30 was not doomed, exactly, but exposed. Mom, I said, Noah copied a file he had no permission to access. He presented it under his name. When the client found errors, he blamed me. He says you planted the errors. I planted fake data in a decoy file after warning him not to access my folder. Oh, Olivia, there it was. The disappointment not in him, in my refusal to make betrayal graceful. I closed my eyes. Do you believe I deserve to have my work stolen? No, of course not. But relationships are complicated. Work is complicated. You two are engaged. If this gets bigger, you both lose. No, I said. I lost when I protected him. I am done losing quietly. She said nothing. I softened my voice, but not my decision. I love you, but if you call to ask me to save his reputation at the cost of mine, I will hang up. Olivia, I mean it. Silence stretched, then she whispered, I just do not want you alone. I looked at the empty chair across from me, where Noah used to sit scrolling his phone while I made breakfast before work. I was alone with him. I said, now I am just alone. Honestly. I hung up before she could answer. That was the first boundary that hurt. It would not be the last. By 9, North Star and Vale had entered full containment mode. Grace confirmed that Noah's login had accessed my restricted working directory 3 times over 2 days. Once from his office desktop, once from his company laptop at home, once from a conference room device registered under Vanessa's temporary project credentials. The fake screenshots Noah sent were also under review. Denise asked me to come in for a second statement. I wore a grey suit, low heels, and no engagement ring. The absence of it felt louder than jewelry. When I entered the office, conversation dipped around me. People looked at my hand, then away. I walked past them without slowing. In the HR room, Denise and Grace were waiting. Thank you for forwarding the email, Denise said. Do you know who sent it? Grace answered, not yet. But the image artifacts suggest the screenshots were edited. We will need the original files if Mr. Ellis intends to submit them. He probably will, I said. Denise studied me. You expected that. I have seen Noah under pressure. That was true enough. Grace opened a folder. There is another issue. Last night, someone attempted to access the real proposal file in your restricted directory after access had been frozen. My spine straightened. Who? Noah's credentials were used, Denise added. The attempt failed because the folder was locked. I almost smiled. He still does not know where the real version is. No, Grace said. But he is looking. That mattered. Noah had realized the decoy was useless unless he could get the real proposal. If he could steal the clean version, he might still muddy the timeline. He could claim we had collaborated. Claim I panicked and swapped files. Claim the real work was always his too. He needed ambiguity. I needed sequence. Denise said, Lane and Pierce has requested a private review of any clean proposal materials. They have not cancelled the account yet. My throat tightened. They requested me. Meredith Lane requested that you be present. For 1 second, I let myself feel it, not victory, possibility in my first life. Lane and Pierce had vanished from my career like a door slammed shut. My name became associated with breach, instability, risk. Recruiters stopped returning calls. Former colleagues sent careful sympathy messages that never included referrals. Now the client wanted to hear from me. Denise leaned forward. Olivia, I need to be clear. The company's interests and your interests may overlap, but they are not identical. You should continue working through your attorney. I know. Good. It was the kindest thing she had said to me. At noon, Mara met me at a cafe 2 blocks from the office. She arrived in a black coat, carrying a legal folder and the calm expression of a woman who enjoyed clean timelines. You look terrible, she said. Thank you. You are welcome. Eat something. I had coffee. That is not a food group. She ordered soup for me without asking, then opened her folder. I reviewed the screenshots. Badly made, but bad evidence can still damage a person if released in the right environment. I know. Noah knows your fear points: family, reputation, being seen as vindictive. I stirred the soup. He called my mother. Of course he did. I set a boundary. Mara looked up. Good. It felt awful. Boundaries usually do at first. That is why people without them mistake discomfort for wrongdoing. I swallowed. She slid a document toward me. This is a notice regarding personal property collection and no unauthorized entry. This is a separate letter about the wedding account and shared expenses. Since the account was funded primarily by you, we are freezing disbursements until contributions are documented. He is going to say I am punishing him. You are preventing further loss. That sentence was so clean I wanted to keep it. Mara continued. Now, there is the engagement dinner tonight. I groaned. Noah's mother, Patricia Ellis, had planned it months ago. A private dining room, both families, a few close colleagues because Noah liked blurred lines when they benefited him. It had originally been meant as a celebration before we mailed formal invitations. I had forgotten to cancel it. No, that was not true. Some part of me had avoided canceling it because I knew Noah would use it. He will go, Mara said. Yes, he will make himself wounded. Yes, he will bring Vanessa if he is stupid or desperate. I looked at her. Mara smiled thinly. He sounds both. I should skip it. You can. But if I skip it, he controls the room. Also true. I pushed the soup away. I am tired of rooms where he controls the story, then attend for one purpose only: not to argue, not to persuade, to set the public boundary. That evening, I went to the dinner. The restaurant was the kind of place with dim lighting, white tablecloths, and servers who spoke softly enough to make conflict feel vulgar. The private room had a long table set for 14. Noah was already there, so was Vanessa. She sat 2 seats away from him, wearing a black dress and delicate earrings, looking like someone who had been invited to comfort a grieving man. Patricia Ellis stood when I entered. She was elegant, blonde, and cold in the way some women became when they had spent a lifetime translating male selfishness into family values. Olivia, she said, finally. I glanced at the empty chair beside Noah, then I took the chair at the opposite end of the table. A ripple moved through the room. Noah's eyes hardened. My mother sat near the middle, looking pale. My younger brother Ethan gave me a tiny nod. He had texted earlier. I don't know everything, but I'm with you unless you tell me not to be. It had made me cry in the office bathroom for exactly 90 seconds. Patricia remained standing. Before dinner, I think we should all take a breath. This has been a painful misunderstanding. No, I said, it has not. Forks stopped moving before dinner had even arrived. Noah leaned back. Olivia, please. I opened my purse and placed Mara's notice on the table beside my water glass. I am not here to debate what happened at work. That investigation is ongoing. I am here to make one personal matter clear. The engagement is over. My mother closed her eyes. Patricia laughed softly, as if I had knocked over a glass. Do not be dramatic. I am being precise. Noah's voice dropped. You are angry. I understand. No, you don't. Vanessa looked down. But not before I saw the small curve of her mouth. Patricia turned to her. Vanessa, sweetheart, I am sorry you are caught in this. Sweetheart, I almost admired the performance. Vanessa murmured. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I looked at her. Then you chose a strange hobby. Her head snapped up. Noah's palm hit the table. Enough. There he was. The real Noah always appeared when charm stopped working. I reached into my folder and removed 3 pages. Since everyone here seems concerned about misunderstanding, let us make a few things clear. Patricia's eyes narrowed. What is that? Records. Noah went still. I placed the first page down. This is the wedding account contribution summary. I contributed 82% of the funds. Patricia flushed. Money is not the point. It became the point when your son told my mother I was trying to ruin both of us financially. I placed the second page down. This is the apartment lease. My name only, Noah said, because my credit was temporarily, because you asked me to handle it. I placed the third page down. This is the shared credit card statement, the watch, the suits, the private dinners with Vanessa labeled as client development. Vanessa's face burned red. A cousin of Noah's whispered, "Oh my God." Noah stood. "You brought financial records to our engagement dinner." I looked up at him. "You brought your girlfriend." The room went silent. Vanessa whispered, "That is not fair." "No," I said. "What is not fair is letting another woman pay for the life you used to impress the woman helping you steal from her." Patricia pointed at me. "You watch your tone." I turned to her. "No, I watched my tone for 3 years. I edited myself until your son could call my work his support system. I paid quietly. I smiled quietly. I forgave quietly. Tonight, I am speaking at a normal volume." Noah's face shifted for one moment. I saw panic under the anger. He knew this version of me less. He had counted on tears, not documents. He had prepared for accusations, not account summaries. My mother opened her mouth, then closed it. Ethan gave me another small nod. Noah leaned forward, both hands on the table. "You think paperwork makes you innocent? No, it makes me finished." He stared at me. I stood. "Mara will contact you about your belongings. Do not come to my apartment again. Do not contact my family to pressure me. Do not use our relationship to explain your choices." Vanessa stood too, eyes wet now. "Olivia, I know you hate me. But Noah said you two were already falling apart. He said you were controlling. He said he could not breathe." The words should have cut. Maybe in another life. They did. Now I only felt tired. "I do not hate you," I said. "I think you saw a locked door and helped him pick it. That is smaller than hate." Her tears stopped. Noah moved around the table. "We are leaving." I almost laughed. There is no we at this table anymore. He stopped beside Vanessa, and that was the moment everyone saw it, not because I said it, because he chose where to stand. He had crossed the room toward her. Not me. Patricia saw it. My mother saw it. Martin Reed, who had been invited as Noah's mentor and now sat frozen near the wine, saw it. Noah realized too late. "Olivia," he said. I picked up my coat. "Goodbye." He followed me into the hallway. "Stop," he hissed. I kept walking. "Olivia, stop." I turned near the coat check. "No." His face twisted. "You are enjoying this." "No, you are. I am surviving it better than you expected." "That is not the same thing." He stepped closer. "You will regret making me your enemy." A month earlier, that sentence would have shaken me. Now it settled something. "You were my enemy when you smiled at me across our kitchen table and waited for me to fall asleep so you could steal my work." His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Behind him, Vanessa appeared in the hallway. She had heard enough to look frightened. Good. I thought fear was appropriate around consequences. My phone buzzed as I stepped outside. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, then saw the preview. MS. Hart. "This is Meredith Lane. I apologize for contacting you directly, but I would like to review the authentic proposal if you are legally permitted to present it under supervision." I stood under the restaurant awning, cold air cutting through my coat, city lights blurred by mist. For the first time since waking into this second life, I smiled, not because Noah had fallen, because the work was still mine. The authentic proposal was not dramatic. That was why it worked. No fake fireworks, no glossy nonsense, no inflated projections designed to make executives feel visionary. It was a clean, disciplined strategy built from real customer behavior, real property data, real market gaps, and the kind of unglamorous research people like Noah found boring until it was time to sign their names to it. Meredith Lane reviewed it in a supervised meeting 2 days after the engagement dinner. Denise was there, Andrew Vale was there, Grace was there to manage file access. Meredith brought her legal counsel and 2 senior analysts from Lane and Pierce. Noah was not invited, neither was Vanessa. I stood at the front of a smaller conference room, looking at my own name on the title slide prepared by Olivia Hart. It should not have felt radical. It did. For Lane and Pierce, I began. The issue is not loyalty program fatigue in general. It is trust fragmentation across 3 guest segments that behave similarly on paper but respond to different triggers. Meredith watched me without expression. I moved through the slides slowly. I cited sources. I explained what had changed since their last internal model. I pointed out risk areas, not just opportunities. I did not pretend the campaign would solve everything. I showed what it could solve and what it could not. Halfway through, one of Meredith's analysts interrupted. "Where did you get the retention comparison for the boutique properties?" "Your Q3 internal performance report," I said. "The version provided in the secure client portal on Friday at 4:10 p.m. The file name ends in 778A. The analyst glanced down, then nodded. Meredith's pen stilled at the end. She closed the folder. In front of her, "This is a different proposal," she said. "Yes, this is a competent proposal. Thank you." Her eyes sharpened. Why did Mr. Ellis have access to anything resembling it? He did not have authorized access to my research folder. Andrew Vale looked embarrassed. Good. Meredith turned to Denise. "Lane and Pierce will not proceed with any team that includes Mr. Ellis or Ms. Reed." Denise nodded. "Understood." Meredith looked back at me. "If we continue, Ms. Hart leads the strategy work." No one spoke for a beat. My heart moved once. "Hard," Andrew said. "That can be arranged." Meredith's expression did not change. "It must be more than arranged. It must be documented." I liked her for that, not because she saved me. She did not. Because she understood that credit without documentation was just another room waiting to be stolen. After the client left, Andrew asked me to stay. Denise remained. So did Grace. That told me this was not a celebration. Andrew folded his hands. "Olivia. First, your work is excellent. Thank you. Second, the firm owes you an apology." I waited. He looked uncomfortable. "We should have had better controls around authorship and client file access." "Yes." He seemed surprised by the simplicity of my agreement. Denise almost smiled. Andrew cleared his throat. "The internal hearing is scheduled for tomorrow morning. Noah has retained counsel. Vanessa has requested to submit a separate statement. She is turning on him." Grace said. "That is the rumor." Of course she was. People who helped build fires often became very interested in smoke alarms when the wind changed. Andrew hesitated. "There is one more thing. Noah claims that because you were engaged and often worked together from home, your files and ideas were shared intellectual work." I stared at him. "That is his defense," Denise said. "Part of it." I looked at my bare hand. "Convenient. When my work wins, it is shared. When his theft fails, it is mine." Nobody answered. Andrew looked down. I realized then that my anger had changed shape. It was no longer fire. Fire burns everything, including the person holding it. This was steel, colder, cleaner, more useful. "I will attend the hearing," I said, "and I will bring records." The hearing took place in the largest internal boardroom, same table as the failed client pitch, same glass walls, different weather outside. Noah sat on one side with an employment attorney, a square-jawed man who looked expensive and annoyed. Vanessa sat farther down with her own counsel, which told me everything I needed to know. Martin Reed sat near the end, no longer acting like a mentor, more like a man calculating the distance between himself and a scandal. I sat across from Noah with Mara beside me. She wore navy and brought 4 binders. Noah looked at the binders the way some people looked at weapons. Denise opened the hearing. "This meeting concerns allegations of unauthorized access, misappropriation of work product, presentation of inaccurate client data, retaliation, and potential misconduct involving confidential client materials." Noah's attorney began smoothly. "My client denies intentional misconduct. Mr. Ellis and Ms. Hart were not only colleagues, but engaged partners who collaborated extensively. Informal file sharing was common in their household. The so-called decoy file was created by Ms. Hart, by her own admission, and placed where Mr. Ellis could reasonably believe it was available for team use." Mara wrote something on her pad. I glanced at it. "He is going to regret saying reasonably." I almost smiled. Noah's attorney continued. "Further, Ms. Hart's actions suggest premeditated sabotage motivated by personal jealousy regarding Mr. Ellis's professional relationship with Ms. Reed." Vanessa flinched at being named. Mara looked up. "May we respond with the timeline?" Denise nodded. Mara stood. "The timeline is not complicated." She placed the first page on the document screen. Sunday, 9:42 p.m. Ms. Hart saved the authentic Lane and Pierce proposal in a restricted directory. Sunday, 10:17 p.m., she exported the proposal and emailed a copy to herself and to my office. That email includes hash values for the attachment. Noah stared at the table. Sunday, 11:46 p.m., Mara continued. Ms. Hart texted Mr. Ellis instructing him not to access the Lane and Pierce folder. The text appeared on screen. "I heard someone exhale." Sunday, 11:58 p.m., Mr. Ellis accessed Ms. Hart's working directory using his own credentials and downloaded a file titled proposal_final_client ready. Grace then took over. She did not embellish that. Made it worse for Noah. She showed the login trail, the device ID, the external USB connection, the temporary shared copy, Vanessa's preview access, the edited title slide, the removal of my name, the insertion of Noah's and Vanessa's. Each fact landed quietly. Noah's attorney tried to interrupt twice. Denise let Grace finish, then Mara presented the prior examples: Mayfair, Meridian, Blackwell. 3 times my work had migrated into Noah's presentations with my notes stripped and my language polished. Just enough to look different. Noah finally spoke. This is insane. We were a couple. Couples help each other. I looked at him. Mara said, did Ms. Hart help you by removing her own name from the title slide? He flushed. I adjusted the deck for presentation. Did she help you by warning you not to access the folder? I thought she meant not to change anything. Grace said, you did change it. Noah turned on her. I changed branding. You changed authorship. Grace replied. The room went still. Vanessa's attorney cleared her throat. My client would like to make a statement. Noah's head snapped toward Vanessa. For the first time since I had known them, they looked exactly like what they were, 2 people who trusted betrayal until it turned in their direction. Vanessa's hands shook as she unfolded a paper. I want to clarify my role, she began. Her voice was small, carefully small. Noah told me Olivia had approved him taking over the deck. He said she was overwhelmed and that he was protecting the client relationship. I did preview the file he sent me, and I helped adjust the slides, but I did not know he lacked permission. Noah laughed. Are you serious? Vanessa did not look at him. She continued. I also want to submit messages showing Noah asked me to remove Olivia's name because he said leadership needed to see him as the account lead. The room went dead silent. There it was, not from my mouth, from hers. Vanessa's attorney handed printed messages to Denise. Denise read them, then passed them to Andrew. Mara leaned toward me and whispered, breathe. I had not realized I was holding my breath. Noah's face had gone gray. Vanessa's messages appeared on screen. Noah, take Liv's name off the front. She gets sensitive about credit. But I'll handle her. Vanessa, won't she be mad? Noah, she always gets over it. We're engaged, Vanessa. And if she doesn't, Noah, then she can explain why she planted bad data in a client file. Vanessa, you said the data was fine. Noah, it is fine enough. Just make it look clean. The last line sat on the screen like a body. Fine enough. That was how he had treated my work, our engagement, my trust, my life. Fine enough to use, fine enough to risk, fine enough to discard. Noah's attorney requested a break. Denise denied it. Not yet. Then she turned to me. Olivia, do you wish to make a statement? I had prepared one, 3 pages. Clean, restrained, lawyer approved. I had practiced it in my apartment until the words felt smooth, but sitting there, looking at Noah under the fluorescent lights, I realized I did not need 3 pages. I only needed the truth without decoration. Yes, I said. I stood. Noah did not steal from me because he was confused about file permissions. He stole from me because he believed access to my love meant access to my labor. He believed that if I complained, he could call me jealous. If I resisted, he could call me unstable. If he succeeded, he would call it teamwork. If he failed, he would call it my fault. Noah stared at me with open hatred. Now it no longer frightened me. I continued. Vanessa did not create that belief, but she benefited from it. Martin did not steal the file, but he rewarded a culture where charm was trusted more quickly than documentation. And I allowed too much for too long because I thought loyalty meant absorbing the cost of someone else's ambition. My voice almost broke there. Almost. I steadied it. That ended the moment Noah stood in front of a client and said he trusted me with the data after removing my name from the work. I will cooperate with this investigation. I will lead the client work if Lane and Pierce continues, but I will not protect Noah Ellis professionally or personally anymore. I reached into Mara's folder and removed the envelope. Noah's eyes dropped to it. This is also formal notice that our engagement is over. All wedding arrangements funded by me are cancelled or frozen pending accounting. You will communicate with me only through counsel regarding personal property, finances, or any legal claim. I placed the envelope on the table, then I took out the ring. For 1 second, my hand trembled, not because I wanted him back, because the body remembers hope even after the mind has buried it. I set the ring on top of the envelope. The diamond caught the overhead light. Noah looked at it as if I had humiliated him. Maybe I had, but only by returning what he had made false. He leaned forward, voice low and ugly. You are going to regret this. Mara immediately said, let the record reflect Mr. Ellis just threatened my client in a formal internal hearing. Noah's attorney grabbed his arm. Stop talking. Noah shook him off. You think you won because you made me look bad in one room, he said. You think these people care about you. They care about the client. When this is over, you will still be alone. The room froze. In my first life, that sentence would have found the deepest bruise. Now I looked at him and saw the final shape of his power. He could not offer love, so he threatened loneliness. I picked up my folder. Alone is not the punishment you think it is. Then I walked out. The consequences began before the elevator reached the lobby. Noah was suspended pending termination review. Vanessa was placed on administrative leave. Martin Reed was removed from direct oversight of the Lane and Pierce account. Northstar and Vale issued a formal apology to Lane and Pierce and agreed to an external audit of project access controls. By 6 p.m., my name was back on the proposal. By 7. Meredith's office confirmed the client would continue exploratory work with me as lead strategist. By 8. Noah sent his first apology. No subject line, just this: I was angry. I said things I did not mean. Please do not let lawyers turn us into enemies. I stared at the email in my quiet apartment. Then another came: you know me better than anyone. Then another: Vanessa manipulated this. She wanted my career. She got in my head. Then another: we can still fix us. I opened a new folder and saved each email. Retaliation attempt 2, emotional reversal. At 11:43 p.m., Grace called me. That alone told me something was wrong. Olivia, she said, are you at your computer? Yes. Do not log into the company portal. My hand went still on the trackpad. Why? There has been a confidential ethics complaint filed under your employee ID. My blood went cold. About what? Alleging that you fabricated evidence against Noah and attempted to sell Lane and Pierce data to a competitor. I stood so fast my chair hit the wall. Grace's voice stayed calm. Listen carefully. The login passed password authentication but failed secondary verification twice before succeeding through a backup code. I did not log in. I know. How? Because the backup code used was generated from a recovery sheet printed 6 months ago. I closed my eyes. 6 months ago, Noah and I had been in this apartment. I had printed backup codes after my phone broke. He had teased me for being paranoid. I had put the sheet in my desk drawer, the drawer he had helped me organize. Grace, I said, Noah had access to that sheet. I thought so. She replied, do you still have it? I walked to the desk. The folder was there. The sheet was not. A laugh rose in my throat, dry and humorless, even locked out. He was still looking for doors. I did not sleep that night, not because I was afraid Noah would win, because I finally understood that losing control over me was not making him sorry, it was making him reckless. At midnight, Mara joined a video call in a robe with her hair pinned up and murder in her eyes. Tell me exactly what Grace said, she ordered. I did. Mara listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, good. I blinked. Good. He escalated from workplace misconduct to unauthorized account access and a false ethics complaint. That is not good for him. It is very good for proving retaliation. I feel like he keeps finding pieces of my life I forgot to protect. Mara's expression softened. That is what intimate betrayal does. It turns shared history into unlocked windows. I pressed my fingers against my eyes. I printed those backup codes because my phone broke. He was there. He made dinner that night. What did he make? The question was so strange I looked up. Pasta. Did you like it? Yes. Then remember that too, she said. Do not give him ownership of every memory. Some moments were real to you even if he was false inside them. That was when I cried, not loudly, not beautifully, just a few exhausted tears in the blue light of my laptop. Mara gave me 1 minute, then she said, now we document. So we did. I photographed the empty folder where the backup code sheet had been. I searched old texts and found one from 6 months earlier. Me, printed backup codes. Remind me to put them somewhere safe, Noah. I'll remind you, Miss Cybersecurity. Me, don't make fun of me, Noah, never. Your paranoia is one of your sexier qualities. That message hurt more than I expected, not because it was cruel, because it was playful. I had laughed when he sent it. Now it was evidence. By morning, Grace had pulled more details. The ethics complaint had been submitted at 11:36 p.m. from a residential IP address linked to Noah's temporary corporate housing. The backup code used matched one of the missing codes from my printed sheet. The complaint contained phrases from the fake screenshots he had emailed me earlier. Noah had not even been original in his final betrayal. He had just recycled. At 9, Denise called. Olivia, the company has enough to treat the complaint as retaliatory and fraudulent. We still need your formal statement. I will give it. There is something else. Vanessa Reed's attorney contacted us at 7 this morning. She is submitting additional messages. What kind? The kind that suggest Noah intended to access your account if the hearing went badly. I sat down slowly. Why would she give that up? Denise's voice was dry. Self-preservation is a powerful discovery tool. Vanessa's messages arrived in the legal packet an hour later. Noah, if she buries me, I bury her. Vanessa, don't do anything stupid. Noah, I know her passwords. She never changes the important ones. Vanessa, that's illegal. Noah, so is planting fake data. Vanessa, you copied her file. Noah, don't start. Vanessa, I'm serious. Leave me out of whatever this is, Noah. You were in it when you wanted the promotion. I read the exchange twice. There was no satisfaction this time, only a dull ache, not for Vanessa, for the woman I had been when I thought Noah's attention was safety. He had known my passwords, my habits, my fears, my mother's phone number, my grief over my father, my tendency to apologize when rooms got tense, my desire to be fair even when I was bleeding. He had known all that and used it as infrastructure. At noon, North Star and Vale held the final internal review. It was smaller than the first hearing. Noah attended remotely with his attorney, Vanessa attended remotely from a different location, Martin was present in person, but he did not speak unless asked. I sat with Mara. Grace presented the unauthorized login evidence, Denise presented the false complaint, Vanessa's attorney presented the messages. Noah's attorney looked like a man regretting his client. When Denise asked Noah whether he had used my backup code, he said, "I declined to answer on advice of counsel." That was the first honest thing his side had done. When asked whether he had submitted the ethics complaint, he gave the same answer when asked whether he possessed any company or client files outside approved systems. He hesitated too long. Grace noticed, Denise noticed, Mara noticed, so did I. By the end of the meeting, the decision was clear. Noah was terminated for cause. The company reserved the right to pursue legal action over unauthorized access, false reporting, and misuse of confidential materials. Vanessa resigned before termination could be finalized, but her personnel file reflected misconduct, and Martin Reed's internal protection no longer meant much with external auditors involved. Martin received a formal reprimand and lost leadership over 2 major accounts. He looked stunned by that. Men like Martin often believed consequences were for people below them. After the meeting, he approached me in the hallway. "Olivia." I stopped. He looked uncomfortable. "I owe you an apology." "Yes." He flinched slightly. I waited. "I should have listened sooner," he said. "I allowed my confidence in Noah to color my judgment." "Yes, I hope we can move forward professionally." "That depends on what changes." He blinked. I continued, "Not what is promised. What changes?" For the first time, Martin Reed seemed to understand that an apology was not a reset button, it was a receipt. I left him standing there. My final conversation with Noah happened 3 days later in the lobby of my apartment building. He should not have been there. He knew he should not have been there, but Noah had always mistaken desire for permission. I found him near the mailboxes, unshaven, coat wrinkled, eyes red. For one disorienting second, he looked like the man I had once comforted after his first failed pitch. Young, frightened, human. Then he saw me and stood. "Olivia." I did not step closer. "You need to leave, please, just 5 minutes." "No." He laughed weakly. "You do not even hesitate anymore." "No." His face twisted. "I lost my job. I know. Vanessa is blaming everything on me. You involved her. She wanted it. You both did." He rubbed his hands over his face. "I messed up. I know that. I was scared." That word again, scared, as if fear excused harm. "Scared of what?" I asked. He looked at me like the answer should be obvious. "Of falling behind you." The lobby was quiet except for the elevator humming somewhere above us. There it was, not love, not confusion, not one bad choice. The route. I had spent years making myself smaller so he would not feel small beside me, and he had still punished me for having anything worth taking. "You could have told me that," I said. "I did not know how." "So you stole from me." His eyes filled. "I thought if I got the account lead, things would stabilize. We were getting married. It would have helped both of us." "Noah." He looked hopeful at the sound of his name. "I let him have nothing else. You were not building our future. You were stealing mine and asking me to call it ours." He swallowed. "I loved you," he said. I believed that he believed it. That was the saddest part. Maybe Noah had loved me in the only way he knew how, as comfort, as labor, as mirror, as backup plan, as audience, as proof that he was good because a good woman stayed. But love without respect was just appetite with better language. "I loved you too," I said. His face broke open. Then I finished. "That is why I know exactly what it cost me." He reached for me. I stepped back. The elevator doors opened behind me. My neighbor Mrs. Alvarez stepped out with her terrier. She saw Noah, then me, then the distance between us. "Everything okay, Olivia?" she asked. Noah's face flushed. I did not protect him. "Yes," I said. "He is leaving." Mrs. Alvarez stayed. Noah looked from her to me, and something in him understood there would be no private corner where he could soften me, no hallway threat, no whispered version of the story, no door left open because I felt guilty closing it. His voice dropped. "Is there really nothing left?" I thought of the proposal, the first life, the rain, the hospital white flash of headlights, the ring on the conference table, the fake data glowing on the screen, my mother's silence, my brother's nod. Meredith's message, Mara's steady voice, Grace's logs, my own name restored where it belonged. There is something left, I said. He looked up. My life. Then I walked into the elevator. Mrs. Alvarez stepped in beside me. The doors closed on Noah's face. I did not look away. A month later, Lane and Pierce signed the revised strategy engagement. The contract listed me as lead strategist, not Noah, not the team, me. North Star and Vale offered me a retention bonus and a promotion path. I accepted the project but negotiated the terms in writing: authorship rules, access controls, direct client communication, clear reporting lines, no more informal ownership, no more invisible labor. Andrew Vale looked surprised by my list. Meredith Lane did not. She signed her approval under the project governance section and said, "Documentation saves honest people time." I smiled, "And costs dishonest people options." She smiled back. "Exactly. My mother and I took longer for 2 weeks. We spoke only in careful messages. Then she came over with groceries I had not asked for and stood in my kitchen looking smaller than I remembered. I told myself I was trying to protect you," she said. "I unpacked oranges into a bowl." "I know. But I was protecting the idea of your life, not you." I stopped. She wiped her hands on her coat. "I am sorry. It was not perfect. It did not erase the phone call, but it was real." So I nodded. "I need you to believe me faster next time," I said. Her eyes filled. "I will try." "No, I need more than try." She inhaled, then nodded. "I will." That was how trust began again, not with a hug that fixed everything, with a sentence that named the damage. Ethan helped me repaint the apartment, not because the walls needed it, because I did. We painted the living room a warm white that looked clean in morning light. I replaced the engagement photo with a framed print from a small gallery near the river. I bought a new desk and placed it by the window. I changed every password, every recovery code, every emergency contact. I kept the ring for a while in a drawer, not out of longing, out of uncertainty. Then one Saturday, I took it to a jeweler and sold it. The woman behind the counter asked if I wanted to keep the engraving. "Always us." "No," I said. "Melt it." With part of the money, I opened a separate savings account labeled Freedom Fund. With another part, I bought a chair for my reading corner. With the rest, I paid Mara's final invoice, worth every cent. Noah tried to contact me 6 more times, through email, through a former coworker, through my mother once, before she shut him down so sharply she called me afterward just to report it. I told him you were not available to be negotiated with. She said. I laughed for the first time in days. Good. Vanessa sent one message: "I am sorry." I looked at it for a long time, then I deleted it. Not every apology required a response. 6 months later, I stood in another conference room, different client, different pitch, my name on the first slide, my team's names beneath mine, because credit, when handled properly, did not diminish anyone. A junior analyst named Priya presented the research section. Her hands shook at first, but her data was clean and her voice strengthened as she went on. When the client complimented the insight, Priya glanced at me as if expecting me to take over. I said, "Priya built that model. She can walk you through the methodology." Her face changed. Small moment. Huge inheritance. After the meeting, she found me near the coffee machine. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For saying it was mine." I stirred my coffee. "It was." She smiled, embarrassed. Still, I understood. Sometimes the truth needed a witness before it felt safe. That evening, I walked home instead of taking a cab. Chicago was cold enough to sting, but the sky was clear and the buildings shone like they had been washed. I passed restaurants full of people leaning close over candles, office towers lit floor by floor, couples arguing gently at crosswalks, strangers laughing into phones. For a long time, I had thought a life without Noah would feel like an empty room. It did not. It felt like a room after a fire, cleaned slowly, window opened, smoke leaving by degrees. There were still marks, of course there were. Some mornings, I woke angry. Some nights, I remembered a kind moment and hated that it had belonged to him. Sometimes I still heard his voice saying, "We are building the same future," and felt the old instinct to make his lie true by sacrificing more of myself. But then I would look at my desk by the window, at my name on the Lane and Pierce binder, at the locked drawer holding my new backup codes, at the orange bowl my mother kept refilling when she visited, at the reading chair bought with the ring money, and I would remember I had not been reborn to punish Noah. Punishment was too small. I had been reborn to stop abandoning myself. The final email about the investigation arrived on a Thursday afternoon. Noah Ellis's termination had been finalized. North Star and Vale had reported the unauthorized access incident as required under client confidentiality rules. Lane and Pierce had accepted the remediation plan. Vanessa Reed was no longer affiliated with the firm. Martin Reed had taken a leave of absence and would not return to client leadership. Attached was a formal correction to internal records. It stated that the Lane and Pierce proposal framework, research, synthesis, and strategic model were authored by Olivia Hart. I read that sentence 3 times, then I printed it, not because I needed paper, because I wanted to hold it. In my first life, I had died with people believing I was careless, unstable, guilty. In this life, I stood in my kitchen, barefoot, alive, holding proof that truth had survived the theft. My phone buzzed, a message from Meredith. Excellent work on the revised rollout. Also, your governance template is being adopted across 2 of our internal teams. Credit where it is due. I smiled. Credit where it is due. Such a simple thing, such a revolutionary thing. When you had lived too long without it. I poured a glass of wine, opened the window even though it was cold, and let the city noise rise into the apartment. Noah had wanted my work. He had wanted my silence. He had wanted my love to be a hallway he could walk through whenever another door closed, but he had copied the wrong file, and after that, every door he tried to open led back to himself. I lifted my glass toward the skyline, not to revenge, not to romance, not to the woman I had been before all this, to the woman who saw the theft coming, left the trap open, saved the proof, removed the ring, locked the door, and finally chose herself without asking anyone whether she was allowed. For the first time in years, my life did not feel shared by default. It felt mine, and that was more than enough.